Hello, folks. This is Steve AB4L. I'm going to have some fun. Nothing in this episode is a promotion, nor is it a recommendation, although you might find something new here of possible interest. So as I was looking down the slashdot.org slugs today, excerpts from various places, saw this one. Lithuania was the country that secretly wiretapped the world for the FBI. I might have skipped over it, but since my mother's parents were from Lithuania, why not take a look? When my mother was a girl, she spoke Lithuanian at home, Polish with all the neighbors on the street, since most of the immigrants in my hometown at that time were from Poland. And she spoke English at school, and she went to a school that I later went to, where I also spoke English. Now, the reason I'm doing this is at least two different things. The FBI had a problem. I'm reading from it. In 2019, the agency was secretly running an encrypted phone company called Anam. Why would you do that? Honeypot technique in cyber security. Kaspersky is in Russia, Moscow. They make antivirus software, have forever. They claim they're not under the thumb of the Kremlin. First time I'm reading this. I had no idea what the machine would come up with. It's interesting that it would choose Russia for the definition. One honeypot definition comes from the world of espionage, where Mata Hari style, you know who she was, right? Let me think if I got it right. Turkey, First World War. Margarita Gertruida McLeod died in 1917, better known by the stage name Mata Hari, was, a Dutch exotic dancer and courtesan who was convicted of being a spy for Germany during the First World War. She was executed by firing squad in France. Wait a minute. So she was born in the Netherlands. Why do I think Turkey? She's partly Jewish, partly Malaysian or Javanese. That is to say, one of her parents was from Indonesia. Dutch East Indies. At 18, she entered an advertisement in a Dutch newspaper placed by the Dutch Colonial Army, Captain Rumoon. Oh, so she married that guy in the Dutch East Indies, Indonesia. That's why the Netherlands was involved in trying to prevent a certain kind of massacre in Indonesia about 20 years ago, but I can't give the exact. Okay. So you see, she was a world traveler. Mata Hari. Forget the Turkish part, although I'm almost certain that figures in somehow. Paris, espionage. The Netherlands was neutral during World War I. She was able to cross national borders freely. Where Mata Hari-style spies who use a romantic relationship as a way to steal. You're in bed. You just got finished doing it. They tell you everything. That's called a honey trap or honeypot. But in computer security terms, a cyber honeypot works in a similar way, baiting a trap for hackers. So you put a website out there that looks like it's a bank or looks like it's a multi-doctor practice or a hospital or whatever, but it's not really, but you make it look like that. And you make it a little bit easy for the people who are constantly scanning all ports, all addresses to get in so that you can follow their packets, IP, Internet Protocol packets, back to where they're coming from and see what they're up to, how they go about it. You're watching them. You make the inside of your computer system fake, look like it's a real bank, a real hospital, trying to find new kinds of attacks. It mimics a target for hackers and uses their intrusion attempts to gain information about cyber criminals. I haven't read this before, so I already explained this, but they're saying it differently. And they're operating or to distract them from other targets. So think about that. If you put up enough honeypots that turn out to be nothing, then you're wasting the enemy's time. And if you do it really good, they can't tell the real ones that they're breaking from the fake ones where in the end it doesn't really matter other than they gave away all their own secrets about how they're doing it. The FBI, but even though Anon contained a backdoor, a chunk of Anon contained in a backdoor. What's a backdoor? You load the software or you buy the phone with the software. You think you're a criminal, whatever. You think this is encrypted and they set it up so that it will only connect to certain numbers that you're interested in, and nobody can call your phone except maybe certain ones you're interested in, and otherwise you don't exist. So when you need to talk to someone else in order to plan something, launder money, whatever, you feel really secure. And you've bought it from somebody that guarantees you this is the real thing. Fooling the crooks. And you don't give the story away for a couple of years so that they get to liking it and they spread it through their organization and they they start bragging about it to other guys that are, because they all go to lunch together. So the key thing is it really was secure messaging, except, but even though Anon contained a backdoor, a chunk of code that silently copied every message sent to the FBI was unable to actually read Anon's messages. The FBI had not obtained legal approval to rummage through the treasure trove of intelligence. Some people, I think, dispute that. So the agency turned to what court records have described as a third country. So I guess that's where Lithuania comes in. The first country being the United States, America, the second being Australia, which ran a beta test of the Annam surveillance operation. The third company allowed the FBI to overcome this legal hurdle. The company hosted the Annam interception server. In other words, the backdoors on all these criminals' things, when they sent messages, also sent them to Lithuania, to an IP address for a machine running in Lithuania. And then Annam, because the FBI, look at all this stuff that's coming in from somebody we don't know every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's what they're saying down there in the FBI headquarters. Where's this stuff coming from? All right. So what caught my eye also is it's 404media.co. CO is like company. HTTP 404. Hang on. HTTP 404. Hypertext web. It's an error message. In computer network communications, HTTP 404 means not found, error, page not found, file not found. Standard response code to indicate the browser was able to communicate with a given server, but the server could not find what was requested. The error may be also used when a server does not wish to disclose whether it has the requested information. Now, that last part explains what I'm going to show you next. The error message 404 may also be used when a server does not wish to disclose whether it has the requested information. So I followed the link to the article on 404media.com. And you notice in the 404, this is what I noticed the first time, that they've got a slash through it, which also must mean something. Now, I just noticed this website about a month ago. I was looking at an article on Slashdot that was interesting, and it took me to this website, which I had never heard of. But that's not the key point. What I know, you know that I look at slashdot.org every day, just see if there's anything interesting. What I noticed was that more and more things are coming to Slashdot. People are excerpting from 404 Media. Now, let's go back and look. What do I mean? Let's just go down what's presently showing. Bloomberg.com, that's where it came from. 404media.com, MSN.com, MSN.com, APnews.com, PopSci.com, RGJ.com, I don't know what that is, ArsTechnica.com, that's a common one too, MSN, see, mainstream news they're pulling a lot from there. And I can't even say where the San Juan Daily Star, CBS News, The Guardian, that's UK, San Francisco Chronicle, Wired. But you notice that 75% of them are names that you all have heard before. GeekWire, that's a popular site. Let's go back one page. Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, New York Times, AP News, Ars Technica, CNBC, Torrent Freak, Guardian, The Verge, The Register, FT, The Intercept, CBC, Euro News, The Guardian, The Hill, The Independent, CNET. I'm looking how far I have to go back to not make a liar out of myself. Reuters, NPR. I'm making a fool of myself. ZDNet, New York Times, Wall Street, Politico, Register. Here we go. Chess cheating saga ends. 404 Media. So we had to go back 3 days to find another one. Let's keep going. Now the point is, the website's brand new. The website's brand new. DHS spent millions on AI surveillance tool that scans for sentiment and emotion. It's 4 days back. Did I count right? So people are starting to think that, take a look there, they seem to have things that would pop up. And remember, these other websites have 100 articles a day. 404 doesn't. One more. Some of these don't have direct attribution because of the way they're contributed. See, there's Bloomberg, there's Financial Times, ZDNet, Bloomberg again, Reuters, The Guardian. Those are big names. They have lots of stuff every day. And so we looked in a week and we found a total of 3? How'd that happen for a new website? Maybe it's interesting, or maybe it has something to do with what they're doing. So let's find out. So here's the actual article. And I'm not going to repeat. And here's the other interesting thing that I found. Now watch. I want to get it to 100%. Yeah, this one here. It begins with the FBI had a problem. That's what they're quoting. They ellipsed some stuff, but they end with, but who did not work it on the U.S. side. So the beginning of the article is, the FBI had a problem. And then here's where it ends, the excerpt. But who did not work it on the U.S. side? And then what happens after that? The revelation provided important clarity on the complex technological and legal arrangements that facilitated the largest law enforcement sting operation in history, where more than 9,000 law enforcement officers sprung into action on June 7, 2021, as part of the globally coordinated arrests of many of those anonymous criminal users. But you see, it starts to fade out. So when they quoted parts of it, they only quoted this, and then it fades out. Why does it fade out? If you want to know more, if you want to read more, you have to pay for it. So I'm wondering, see, now I'm not saying anybody's insidious. I think the topic is of interest in News for Nerds, but maybe it's being submitted by people at 404. When you go to slashdot.org, you can go to all, and there are a lot of things that get submitted, and there are people who go to the all, and they look and see what they're interested in, and they vote up or down. And when one of them gets enough ups, it gets promoted to the regular page that you land on. So I'm thinking, are these 404s that I noticed, stories that I noticed, are they a honeypot? Just to try to get people to get to the 404 and get subscribers? Are they plants by people at 404? And the items are interesting, but it's the 404 people themselves planting it. I mean, it's legal. You should see some of the stuff people send as a candidate from all over the world. A sale on marked down shirts in Indonesia. I'm not kidding. And one last thing. Here in the middle of art. So you know what the article's about. We don't know the whole article, but we know what it's about. And then there's this right here in the article, which they don't have quoted over on Slashdot. Let me just read it to you. Do you know anything else about Anam? Were you a user, and meaning that you didn't get caught, or maybe you are in jail and you were one of the people that got caught? Or did you work on a related investigation? I would love to hear from you. Use a non-work device. You can message me secretly on Signal. Oh, Signal is sort of like the kind of messaging that they were talking about that was a honeypot by law enforcement. You can message me securely on Signal at, and then it gives the, otherwise send me an email at joseph@404media.com. Now, if you send it like Jose, if you do that, the government's reading it directly, which is why I have to talk about that. And who are we talking about? Joseph Cox. That's the author of the. So if we just go Joseph Cox is, I'm just exploring, is focused on generating impact. His work has triggered hundreds of millions of dollars worth of fines, stopped companies selling location data linked to abortion clinics, and much more. And these are some of his past ones. AI image company rebrands after 404 media investigation. Buzzy AI startup for generating 3D models used cheap human labor. I'm not promoting anything. Leaked email. CBP tells airports its new facial recognition target is 75% of the passengers. That was news. Behind the blog, why we stalk a target through the New York subway will disable feature that leaked trip history after 404 media investigation. Why would I be interested in this kind of stuff at all? When I lived in the Philadelphia area, a very good friend, he lived upstairs from me, was an investigative reporter. When a certain person was a candidate for mayor of Philadelphia. He wrote an article about everything about his background, including things that would look very detrimental. But the magazine that he worked for decided somebody called me? No, it's still going. But the magazine he worked for decided not to publish it. There were two candidates, Thatcher Longstreth, the Republican candidate, a mainline guy. Think of it kind of like a bureaucrat academic. And the article, the in-depth profile about him was published in the October issue 1973. My friend, the investigative reporter's article, which he had finished, was due to be published just a day or two before the election on November 4th, 1973. But they didn't publish it. He was the person that came to me and said, I've got 3 boxes of materials I've gathered in order to back what's in this article. I'm afraid there may be a raid and somebody will try to take them. Would you be willing to hide one of the boxes under your bed? And then he showed me what kind of stuff it was. And I said yes. And about a week later, he came in after the election and he came and got the box back. I'm not making it up. So when I read about a person like this, and I look at the kinds of titles, in a certain sense, it's nothing new to me. So that's kind of what 404 Media is. They're kind of investigative reporters, but in the modern form. I'm not promoting anything. I'm telling you multiple reasons why this particular article, why this particular article caught my eye and I decided to pursue it. Steve A.B. Foriel, just an idiot running his mouth, saying, see you in 73.